I get this question thrown at me so many times, and even though I've answered this question many times before, people still throw this question at me. That question being, JayDub, why don't you talk about TNA anymore? You used to talk about TNA so much, but now you act like it doesn't even exist. Well, to answer this question once and for all, the reason why I don't talk about TNA is because I don't watch TNA. I just stopped watching the show. The last episode of Impact I watched before this last episode, because I did decide to watch that one, but the last episode of Impact I watched before this one was the Monday night where they announced that they were moving back to Thursdays. So I hadn't watched Impact in 2 months, so I decided to watch this last episode to, just throw it out there just to see what was going on with the product, because I made the decision myself. By looking at Impact back then, I didn't like the product that I was seeing, nor did I like the direction that the company was going in. So instead of watching every week, watching a product that I knew I didn't like and bitching about it, I just decided not to watch. So I checked up on Impact this week because people were promoting it so much. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be excellent. This is going to happen. That is going to happen. So I decided to tune in. And from what I saw, it wasn't near horrible at all. I've seen a lot of improvements, but the one big complaint that I would have about the show is, and I'm going to need you guys who watch Impact on a regular to help me out a little bit, is Impact overbooked every week? Because I looked at this last show and they had a street fight, they had a ladder match, they had a I Quit match, and they had all of these gimmick matches thrown on one show. Not to mention that this is the first episode of Impact directly after a pay-per-view. But you throw all of these gimmick matches over there on the show, so I just felt that it was, a bit overbooked. Like, I did enjoy some of the stuff that happened with the knockouts, but like I said, the show seemed like it was overbooked. And somebody was like, I was talking on Twitter, and somebody said, oh, they're trying to be the new ECW. I said, what? Bankrupt and sold to WWE? Is that how they're trying to, is that the direction that they want to go? Because, but I digress. Moving on, speaking of ECW, the big thing that people were, promoting so much was this whole ECW invasion of TNA. So I stuck around, watched the show. We get to the end of the show and we see all of these ECW guys. They jump in the ring and there's just this huge brawl. And they just start brawling and people are like, oh, this is an invasion, and I looked at it, and coming out of the episode, I was underwhelmed. Like, it was overhyped. It was just so much, and it didn't even live up to a bit of that hype. The angle, like I said, it was underwhelming. Like, they get in there, they fight a little bit, but then Dixie Carter jumps on screen. Stop, I invited them. I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? Like, what is this? And yeah, to compare this to a very recent invasion angle, I would say that NXT Nexus made these ECW guys look like complete bitches. You guys can have your opinions. Make sure you let me know down in the comment section below. But NXT blew this little thing out of the water. Like, how is this special? How is this ECW thing even special? Like, how is this supposed to get me excited about TNA, seeing these same faces over and over again on something that we've seen over and over again? Like, how many chances is ECW going to get? The company went bankrupt 10 years ago. Just let it die. WWE already brought it back, and I didn't, just to clarify things, didn't like it when WWE brought it back, and I damn sure don't like it now when TNA brought it back. So when I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, TNA, they're just absolutely shameless. Like, first you have TNA, they come up with this angle that's surrounding a WWE Hall of Fame ring. Now you're having an angle that surrounds a company that went out of business and WWE owns. Like, come on now. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is going through the minds of the people that are running TNA? Well, I guess I do know what's going through their minds. They had this whole, it's been reported that they had this whole focus group. They did like a research group, and they found out that a lot of professional wrestling fans, their favorite time in like professional wrestling history was when ECW was in its prime, in its heyday. So they came up with the harebrained scheme, if people's favorite time in wrestling was when ECW was in its heyday, why not bring back ECW? That makes sense, right? No, it doesn't make sense, because you're not going to be able to capture the magic that ECW had in the 90s. You're not going to be able to capture the mystique that was that original ECW. Like I said, WWE tried it and they failed at it. What the hell makes you think that TNA is going to do any better? And with the whole focus group thing, they say, Oh, their rationale for this. Oh, people liked ECW, so we want to bring it back. That's like saying, my favorite show as a child was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So let's bring it back in this day and age where all of the fucking people, they got beer guts, receding hairlines, they're bald, and they're shells of them for their former selves. That would be the equivalent of doing that. Just because people say ECW was their favorite time in professional wrestling does not mean that they want to see it in this day and age. TNA needs to get a plan. TNA needs to stick to that plan. I'm tired of Dixie Carter, Jeff Jarrett. Every month, TNA is changing on every level. Every month is something going on in TNA where it's changing. Paul Heyman, he seems like the only guy out there, speaking of ECW and to tie this whole thing in, Paul Heyman, he seems like the only guy out there that actually has sense. He's seeing what's going on in TNA and he's speaking out on it. He's like real blatant with it. And all of you TNA fans that say Paul Heyman, oh, he's a god. He can come save TNA. Oh, Paul Heyman, he's a wrestling god. If you saw that interview with, I think it was Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, he specifically said TNA's marketing sucks. TNA's publicity, it sucks. And even if they had good publicity and marketing, they don't have a good product to market because the product sucks. So all of you guys thinking Paul Heyman is a wrestling god, all of you TNA fans, what do you think about his opinions on TNA? He says the marketing sucks. He says the product sucks also. What do you guys think about that? Do you agree with him? Do you still think he's a wrestling god now? Or do you disagree with him? Are your thoughts changed on him? So, yeah, and on to Paul Heyman. It's been reported that he's in negotiations with Dixie Carter. He actually said it him. Well, he didn't say he was in negotiations. What he said was he laid down what he wanted from TNA, and he said there will be no negotiations because I'm not chasing them. I'm not courting them. They're courting me. They want me to go to TNA, and I have a family. I have interests to protect. I have a good thing going on with what I'm doing right now. Sure, if I went to TNA and it was successful, I can make a lot of money, but I don't want to play around. I don't want to screw around. I want TNA to have a plan, and I want TNA to stick to that plan. When I go to TNA, I want 10% ownership of the company. I want creative control. This is all that he's saying. So he's not playing around because he sees TNA, and he sees that they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. He sees TNA has potential, but the management, they don't have a plan. They don't have goals. What they want to do, oh, let's take down WWE. Let's move to Monday nights. Let's take on WWE. Not even looking at the infrastructure of their own company. Not even making sure all of everything is set in a row with what's going on in TNA. They just want to take on WWE, take down WWE. And that's one of the things that I like about Paul Heyman. And that's why I think Paul Heyman will be good for TNA, because he doesn't seem like one of those people that's motivated out of revenge. You see people like Eric Bischoff. He goes on his Facebook page ranting about Vince. Like one week he was talking about, oh, well, Vince, he's mad because WWE Raw, it dropped 1 million viewers and before going to WrestleMania. Then the next week, TNA was under 1 million viewers. So you're talking crap about Raw losing 1 million viewers when Impact doesn't even have 1 million to lose. If they lost 1 million, they would be in the fucking negatives. And that's impossible. But yeah, back to Paul Heyman. He doesn't seem like one of those guys that's motivated out of revenge. He wants TNA to have a plan. We haven't heard any inkling, we haven't heard anything from Eric Bischoff, Dixie Carter, Hulk Hogan of what's the end game for TNA. What do they want to accomplish out of TNA? Paul Heyman, in that one little interview, he said with the quickness, in a couple of years, we want TNA to have 10% of the market share in the professional wrestling. That was easy, a quick statement right there, and he just laid out the plan right there. But we can't get that from Dixie Carter. We can't get that from Hulk Hogan. We can't get that from Eric Bischoff because their egos are so huge. And Dixie Carter, let's just be real about it. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. This is the same woman that came to TNA to promote TNA. This is the same woman that has like a degree in marketing. Like the reason why she was with TNA in the beginning was because she was working with a marketing and publicity firm, and she went to marketing, publicized TNA, but she failed at that, and she ends up getting promoted to fucking president of the company. Really? She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't. And that's clear. It's really clear. And I know people may be sitting up here saying, oh, JayDub, well, you don't know how to run a wrestling promotion. Hell, I don't have a track record, but look at what they're doing. They're running a wrestling promotion, and look what the hell they're doing with it. Where is TNA going? Nowhere. They're still stuck in that same gear. After bringing all of these additions to the company, after doing all of this stuff, they're stuck in the same gear. They start up this whole ECW thing, something that we've seen so many times before in the past, and they think people were supposed to get excited about this. Like I said, I haven't watched TNA in 2 months. This was my first time watching iMPACT in 2 months. This angle did not get me excited about that. Why should I even continue to watch? Why? What's to say that TNA is gonna find success with this angle? What's to say that TNA they're gonna do anything different than what we've already seen time and time and time again? So just to end this video, Paul Heyman, he would be great for TNA. Not only from a storyline perspective, screw the storylines. Not even talking about the storylines yet, because Paul Heyman, he does have a pretty good mind when it comes to professional wrestling, but they need somebody in the back to get this ship on the right route and steer. That's it. And they don't have that in the company right now. But if Paul Heyman does go to TNA, I can't see it working with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan in the company, because their egos are so massive, and it's basically like that syndrome, too many cooks in the kitchen. You got all these people with these huge egos in there, and everybody is going to say, oh, I have the right plan. I know what's going to happen, and I know how to get there. I know what we want to do, and I have the plans. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. It just seems like it. And if he did go to TNA and had all those guys in there with him, Hogan, Bischoff, Russo, it just seems like a recipe for destruction. It's clear that TNA is in trouble. Paul Heyman, like I said, he has the potential to right the ship. But Dixie Carter, it's clear that she has Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff in her ear. They've been selling her a false bill of goods for months and months and months. Will they be the ones that prevent Paul Heyman from going to the company? Because they have interest to protect. Who knows? But it's clear that TNA is in trouble. Like, there's no denying that now. They're in a state of desperation because they clearly want to move on. They clearly want to get bigger than what they are right now, but it's just not working. It's like they're putting their feet down on the gas, but they're just stalling out. So it remains to be seen whether Paul Heyman will end up in TNA. But if I had to venture to guess, I would say I don't even know. I don't know. I'll just end the video right here. You guys, make sure you let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you interested in this ECW thing? What do you think is going to be different about it now than from what we've seen already? So, yeah. Peace out.